So there's been some changes. It has been a few months since I've made a video, and in those few months a lot has changed in my lineup, in my life, a little bit of everything. So as you may or may not know, I detailed vehicles on the side, and with my day job and detailing, that took up pretty much all my free time. And you may have noticed videos slowed down over the past year because of that. Well, I've decided to stop detailing simply because when it came time to play with my own toys, it felt like I had to go to work, right? I had to come out to my shop where I normally detail every weekend, you know, 2 or 3 cars a weekend, and then I just wouldn't have any motivation to do anything. So about a month ago, I decided to pause that. In that time, there's been some changes as far as the vehicles I have. The S10 is no more. I did finish it. It runs, it drives. I traded a buddy of mine for a Corvette. That one right there. We'll get into that in a minute. The other car that is no longer here is the 55 Ford. I finished it. It was running, driving, brakes were fixed, everything was good to go. And I sold it. I put the cash into the rest of the projects I have. Obviously the Nova, you haven't seen any videos on that yet. It will take, that's gonna be a big project, and that's the whole point. I haven't made videos, but I have tinkered here and there. I got a floor pan put in it, things like that. So, and there is another project that I'm going to be doing, is a 92 Silverado dually. We're going to be slamming it, painting it, kind of getting it ready to kind of be a daily driver. So everything has changed, kind of going to start fresh here. But what we're going to do first is we're going to look at this Corvette. The Corvette is a 1997 C5. This is, at least for the summer, planned to be my daily driver. He traded me the Vette and some cash, obviously, and you'll see why in a minute, for the S10. The Vette needs some work, a lot of work. Apparently, a tweaker owned it, and I don't know what they did, what they hit, what they were trying to do. It's got some issues. Let me just flip this around. Let's go look at it. So at first glance, it looks pretty decent, right? You get up close and you kind of start seeing some of the imperfections in the paint. Not a big deal. I can fix all that. It does only have 110,000 miles, and that is verified. That's a plus. It is the original engine, the LS1, LS series, blah blah blah. Nice to have. You come around here, and then you start seeing some of the problems. I don't know if he was trying to hot wire it or what, but he ripped a lot of the wiring out of the floorboards, under the dash, things like that. Luckily, it's all there. Nothing has been spliced into. I've been able to put most of it back together. We're having some problems now that I'll get into in a minute, but let's go ahead and look at the rest of the car. The seats, it does have the sport seats. They're not in good shape. If you may look back at my old Corvette videos, I did put some Corbeaus in. A 98 I had. I'm probably going to do something similar here, but not going to spend the money on the Corbeaus. May just spend the 350 bucks on some Pro Car or just some eBay specials. But let's continue. You start seeing some issues here. There's some damage, and then the entire bumper's gone. I do have it. It is ripped pretty much from there all the way to the middle. I'm going to try and repair it using a hot stapler, some plastic weld, and then going in the back with some fiberglass. Because I really don't want to spend $400 on another bumper, plus shipping, by the way. $400 plus shipping for another bumper if I can fix that one, right? So we're going to get into that at some point as well, but for now, there is no rear bumper. This side isn't bad. Actually, it's in pretty good shape overall. I don't know what these hideous wheels are, but these are on there. These are coming off. I do have the black ones to match the front to put on the back, but the tires are gone. And these aren't original either, but they look much better than that. All the glass is in good shape. Everything seems to work when I put power to it, but we'll see how that actually pans out. So this is the way I got it. Like I said, This thing has not been on the road since 2016, I think it was. 2016 or 2017. Either way, it's not been on the road, and it's been pretty much in the condition you see. Now, the biggest issue is the torque tube. This is a replacement torque tube that I bought. We're gonna swap this out for the one that's in there. Obviously, the car's too low, I can't show right now, but you'll see shortly. It's broke. It's completely, I'll show you on this one. So you got, this is the front of the motor here, and this is for the automatic transmission in this car. Basically, from here all the way around is completely separated. I don't know if there's going to be any transmission damage. I haven't gotten that far, but it did separate enough that the torque converter has pulled out of the pump. Now, if it's been ran like that, I mean, there's a chance that it may have some pump issues. I don't know. We won't know till we get that far into it. But either way, this is going to be the main project now because I want to use this as a daily driver. So we're going to be doing some work on it. So that was a lot of rambling, but basically working on the 97 C5 Corvette. That is the new project going forward. S10's done, 55's done, they're gone. If you like those, I did too. I appreciate you watching them. Hopefully you stay to watch the Vet, the Nova, and the OBS dually. But like I said, with the exit of my side hustle, I plan to play with my own stuff more, and with that comes some more videos. But all right, so I'm gonna get this set up. I'm gonna get the Corvette up in the air, and we're gonna start trying to remove the torque tube. All right, guys, so I got sidetracked. It's now been a few days later, but we got the car in the air, and I have everything disconnected on both sides here. Basically, the control arm, the shock, brake caliper. There was some wiring pigtails on this side, emergency brake cable. Pretty straightforward. So far, so good. Same thing on this side. Everything's been disconnected. And then up under the front, let's crawl down here. Okay, this is really hard to see. So there's two transmission line cooler connectors there, right at the connection of the bell housing in the back of the engine. You remove those. There's a 10mm Allen bolt up inside the bell housing where the drive shaft is connected to the flex plate with a tension collar, I guess you could call it. I don't know, but anyway, you remove that, and there is a wiring harness above the torque tube, which I'm going to leave as is for now. I want to see how far I can pull it down before I have to remove that harness, because where it's at now is kind of a pain. But let me pull you in the back here. Okay, in the back, the whole reason for pulling this out is right there. Can you see? Yeah, you can see all that. So that crack runs all the way around the back of the torque tube. And unfortunately, that is not removable. That's all in one piece all the way to the front. The 3 bolts on the torque converter through the access hatch right there have been removed, I believe. I do have to do the the shifter cable, which that's just right there. I'll get that popped off in a minute. But everything else is good. And then there's 4 bolts holding the entire cradle to the back of the car. I don't know if this was required or not. I'm getting rid of this stock exhaust, by the way, but I did the ABS motor. I don't know what that's exactly called. It's attached to the rear cradle as well. I'm hoping, I'm probably wrong because I've never done this before, but I'm hoping that if I unhook that, I don't have to pull any brake lines, but we probably will. But I don't know. I'll deal with that when we get to it. I think my main goal right now is to get this low enough that I can get I'd like to get it all completely out and see what I'm working with, but if I have to just pull it down and remove the torque tube under the car, I will do that. Because at the end of the day, that's all I'm looking to do is just replace that torque tube. Okay, I've rambled enough, but once I got it out, I'll be back and we'll go from there. All right, so torque tube's out. Look at it. I don't know what the previous owner hit that caused it to do what it did, but I don't know. It's almost like he hit a curb, because if up under the rockers, you can tell something hit the very back of both rockers, and it's almost like the curb hit the bottom of the transmission, cracked it just enough. And this is just my speculation, right? Just enough to let the torque converter touch, which then caused it to split perfectly all the way around. So that is why I pulled the torque converter out. I just wanted to kind of get a look at it. I don't know. I mean, I do not really want to buy another torque converter and another transmission unless I have to. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it back together, because it feels good, it looks good. I don't see any obvious issues or damage. But I think I'm just going to throw it back together, put the new torque tube in, which looks to be in fantastic condition, and see how far we get. I don't know if we'll actually get to test it in this video. I do want to get the torque tube installed, and I'll take you guys along for the ride on that. The new tube is a used one I bought off eBay. It was like 350 bucks shipped. I don't think that was too bad. The bearings inside feel good. There's no noise, no play, nothing in there. It would probably be a good idea for me to pull it apart, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to throw it together. That's kind of what a lot of people would like to do, so that's what we're going to do in this video and see how it works. The only thing I did notice, it is a different design than the original. I do know that they had a couple different designs, but at the end of the day, it'll still bolt in, it'll still work the way it's supposed to. I believe this one here is the newer version. And somebody who knows can correct me if I'm wrong, but this one uses the big snap ring to hold all of the drive shaft in the tube, whereas this one here is bolt in. I think that means that one's the newer one, but I don't know, and I honestly, I don't... Well, if I'm wrong, then this has been replaced before, because this is a 97. This is the first year of the C5, so you would think the early version would be this one. But either way, we're going to get a move on here. Again, I'm not really going to record a whole lot underneath where I struggle on my back and unflattering angles. Anyway, going to put the torque converter back in, get the new torque tube down there. I did run across a couple issues. I guess it sat outside for quite a while. It did rust through on the passenger brake line. Not a huge deal. I'm gonna route a new line and call it good. All the ball joints and bearings and everything look and feel good, but I won't know really a whole lot more until we get this thing tested. I was able to do this literally just dropping it down and getting it to pull back far enough to where I could take out, you know, the front bolts here. I even left the old ABS module or motor, whatever that is. Everything's hooked up. The wiring harness and everything's still hooked up. I didn't have to unhook any of that. Don't get me wrong, it would have been much easier if I could just pull it all out, but it was almost as much of a pain trying to get some of those old plugs to be unhooked than it was just to deal with it like this. And this wasn't too bad, honestly. I think I've done this over the course of a few days, but I think if you added up the actual time spent, it's probably less than 3 hours. Honestly, it really wasn't a big deal to do this. So it may be a little longer to go back together, because when I pulled it apart, some of the work was already done, such as the front of the torque tube bolts was out, the plate along the bottom of the car was already out, but that's really it. So I guess not a ton was done. But regardless, I've rambled long enough. Let's see if we can get this torque converter back in and get the torque tube in there and see how she does. All right, everything is now reattached. All the suspension control arms, brake lines, all that's back on. I did pick up a new crash support, bumper support, whatever you want to call it, because obviously this one was missing. This side's good to go. As I showed you before, you've seen how bad or how the other torque tube broke. Let's crawl under here. So nothing really to see here, but there's the new one, or new used torque tube. Pretty straightforward install. Like I said, it wasn't awful. But what I have to do now is I've ran into a few other issues. It's too dark there. But the shift linkage, the shift cable, the bushings on both ends are bad. And it's not wanting to operate properly. The shift shaft seal that is behind the neutral safety switch is leaking. And you can see kind of maybe some of the fluid, but that's where it's coming from. So I'll probably replace that. I do have fluid and filter to replace the trans fluid, but I have to do that while it's running and in gear. And that brings me to our current predicament. So let me get up off the floor. Okay, so this car has not ran or been driven since 2017, so it's been 4 years. And when I got the car, first thing I did is put a battery in it to see if it would start. Well, I was able to get power going to it. It would not crank over. That could have been for various reasons, but I did replace the starter, and I actually did that in this video, but I didn't record it. So it does have a brand new starter in here. And I had all kinds of problems with the ignition switch. So I've actually went through 3 lock cylinders at this point. I am using the original key, even though I had one made. It's a very long story, but the long story short is I finally got this replacement ignition switch. So I got this replacement ignition switch with the lock cylinder that it came with. I got it rekeyed, or I rekeyed it to work with the original key, because the guy, I guess, tried to hotwire it, tried to get around the VAT system, and it wasn't working. So anyway, so it does run, and I'll start it up real quick here. There's no shifter, as you may have noticed. We're gonna try that again. That sounded weird. So there's no exhaust, so it's pretty loud. I don't know what I heard the first time, but it seems okay. So it's fired right up. It's got 4-year-old gas in it. It smells awful, but the fact that it fired up is fantastic. So that was a huge relief. It only has 110,000 miles on the clock. I did pull a Carfax, and that should be accurate. So brings us to our next problem that we have found. The harmonic balancer has a major wobble, which the car's not running, but when it's running, it's wobbling. So I'm gonna have to replace that. That's a pretty common issue in the C5s and C6s. It's very noticeable, and you can feel it, see it, all the above. So that's got to be replaced. The next issue is the shifter. So I was having some major issues getting it to go into all the way into park, because obviously you can't take the key out until it's completely in park because of the lock cylinder, which is this piece here. Problem is this should automatically go up. So it's all spring loaded, but I've cleaned it, I've lubed it, I've worked it forever here, but nothing is working the way it should. It's just staying in place, and it's also very sticky, which that could be old grease. I don't know, but the main issue here is that I'm having is this piece. It's not wanting to operate properly. I can't do this one-handed, but there we go. So right now it's in park, and this here, it doesn't automatically go where it's supposed to go. See? It just stays down, and it's not supposed to do that. There's a spring there that's supposed to push it up. There's a little cylinder in there. I may tinker with that a little bit, but more than likely I may just pick up another one. 125 bucks on eBay for a good one. I don't know. We'll see. And I am going to replace the, like I said, the shift linkage, shifter, harmonic balancer. So So to recap where we're at, the 97 Corvette runs, torque tube replacement is good. The converter looks good. I was kind of worried about the torque converter and the transmission, but it all seems to check out. There's no weird noises when it's in gear. The wheels do turn. It doesn't rev up in gear for some reason. I haven't dug any of that yet, but that is a problem I'll have to fix. So things that need to happen to make this daily drivable. Exhaust. So I have the original mid-pipe. I'm probably going to use that, even though it's kind of broke, but I'm probably going to make that work. I do have a brand new Borla catback Stinger S-type, whatever you want to call it. We're going to install that in the video here soon. It needs all 4 tires. The back tires are god-awful, but it needs all 4 tires. Shifter, shift linkage. Needs the interior put back together. Harmonic balancer. Light bulbs all the way around. It needs this bumper repaired, which this is going to be a fun video, I think. Like I said, I don't know what he hit, but we're going to repair that. Man, it's a bigger project than I thought, but it's kind of fun. You know, I got really burned down with the S10 after a while, and this kind of is revitalizing some of the fun that you can have working on this kind of stuff. So anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. We got the torque tube replaced. Things are moving along. It runs. First time it's ran in 4 years, and it idles smooth, revs up, sounds great, fantastic. In the next video, we will probably work on either the bumper or, I don't know, maybe I'll work on the shifter, shift linkage. It depends on how long it takes for that stuff to come in. Probably work on the bumper, if I'm honest. We'll probably work on the bumper. But anyway, if you stick around this long, I do appreciate it. Hope you liked the video. Stay tuned for more. We will be doing more C5. This is gonna be my daily driver, so I gotta get it done. Gotta get it done quick. So, again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Till next time.